started with these last two candidates that we have, and we're going to give them 2 minutes to introduce themselves to you. Okay, so we will start with Senator Leslie Jackson. Or if he wants to be the gentleman, we'll start with
Before y'all get started, let me make one more quick announcement, just like I did earlier. This is being streamed live on Phoenix Television as well as WIZL Radio as we speak.
All right, good evening, good evening. I am Tamara Shealey, candidate for the United States Senate right here in the great state of Georgia. And I always like to start out with a little bit of a chant, and I like to pay homage to our ancestors. So if y'all can hear me, just kind of give me a little wave, So y'all say this with me: slavery, Jim Crow, black holes, convict leasing, no New Deal, no GI Bill, redlining, war on drugs, mass incarceration. Now y'all say this with me: reparations. Say it with me: reparations. Say it with me: reparations. So I am Tamara Shealey, and I am a reparationist. Reparations is at the top of my agenda to the United States Senate. We have to have a bold agenda to turn around what is happening in Black America. So again, I'm Tamara Shealey. I hold a Juris Master's degree in law from Emory University. My bachelor's degree is in computer information from DeVry. I come from the beauty and barber industry. For 27 years, I have been actively involved with my industry. I address policy state to state that affects the beauty and barber industry. So I've been tracking and monitoring legislation for a very long time. And again, I'm a reparationist, and we have to center the needs of Black America right now in order for America to be all that it needs for all of us. So again, Tamara Shealey, candidate for the United States Senate.
Good evening. I'm Leslie Jackson. I'm running for Labor Commissioner of this great state. I'm running for Labor Commissioner for several reasons, but more importantly, I'm running because our young people need access to livable, to jobs that have livable wages. Our young people need access for opportunities. Our young people need access for a better tomorrow. And so there's 3 reasons why I should be the next Labor Commissioner. One is accessibility. We need a Labor Commissioner that's accessible. When you knock on the door, the Labor office should be open. So, during this COVID time, we found out that the Labor office has been closed across this great state. We have 100 Labor offices that has been closed, and people have been shut out. When I'm your Labor Commissioner, I will make sure that the Labor offices are open 5 days a week. When you call, someone will answer. A person will answer the phone. When you send an email, you will have a response within 48 hours. The other reason I'm running is for job opportunities. We need a Labor Commissioner that's not only going to be fighting for jobs, but fighting for jobs that will produce a livable wage, a wage that a person can take care of their family and their children, that they can work a 40-hour work week and come home to be with their family and don't have to take a part-time job just to make ends meet. And not just about jobs, but also inspire and encourage entrepreneurship. We need a Labor Commissioner that's going to be about the business of entrepreneurship. If you want to have a home business, or you want to work from your home, or you want to create your own business, you should be able to go to the Labor Department and have that happen, and let somebody in the Labor Department help you work through that. The Labor Department should be about not only jobs with livable wages, but encouraging entrepreneurship in our great state. And the last reason I'm running is because we need a Labor Commissioner that's about the business of a quick response to benefit claims. If you remember during this COVID, so many people could not get a quick response to the benefit claims. It's been missing for 9-10 months, and you still haven't heard from your labor office. Some people still haven't heard from their labor office in response to their benefit claim. I want to be your Labor Commissioner so that I can be accessible to the needs, promote job opportunities, and also quick response to benefit claims. I started my career off as a bricklayer. That's because I know that in high school, I wanted to be able to have a job that produced a good living. I was a bricklayer. That was my first professional job. So we the Labor Commission want to take people back to the high school and encourage livable wages for good jobs so people can produce a living for their families. I'm Lester Jackson, Lester for Labor. I want to change Georgia, and I can do it with your help. Thank you.
Money man, y'all.
Good evening, candidates. My name is Robin Kemp. I am the executive editor and CEO of the Clayton Crescent, which is a nonprofit news website here in Clayton County. I guess the first question is for Mr. Jackson, which you touched on the real disaster that was the labor department over the COVID period. And I thought perhaps you would give us a little more detail about any insights you had into where the communication breakdown was happening, because I think a lot of people out there want to know that.
Our current labor commissioner has been unresponsive to the needs of Georgians. He's closed the labor office. He shut the people out. He locked the doors. He's ordered his staff to work from home. Now, I will tell you that we have good people working in the labor department. What we have is a lack of good leadership. So when I'm your next labor commissioner, we're going to have the office open 5 days a week. We will call the employees of the labor department essential workers. So they'll be not only accessible to the needs of people, but attentive to the needs of Georgians. Our labor department has a great number of great employees, but we also need our labor offices open. And when we open the doors and take the needs of the people, that's when you see the labor department changing for the needs of Georgians and not just showing up to go to work.
Okay, Ms. Johnson-Shealey, I have a question for you. You're running against Raphael Warnock, and there are some other folks running against him as well, most notably Herschel Walker. I was wondering if you could explain a little bit about your platform and your background and what you're hoping to bring to the office.
Well, again, I'm Tamara Shealey, and we just have to be very intentional about the policies and the politics right now. The data shows that by 2053, Black America will have zero net wealth. Black people are on a race to the bottom. We are about 13% of this population, but we only have about 2.6% of this nation's wealth. That wealth is concentrated. It's athletes, it's entertainers. Black people are hurting. White America has 10 times the wealth of Black America, 10 times the wealth. And when I asked you to do that chant, I wanted you to hear the generations of atrocities that have happened to us as a people that has contributed to why we do not have generational wealth and why we are headed for the bottom. So our house is on fire. Black America, our house is on fire. And we have to be very intentional about policies that will move the needle to address our concerns. Now, reparations is a policy. It's been around since 1989, introduced by John Conyers, who has since passed away, God rest his soul, that is now carried by Sheila Jackson Lee. That bill in the Senate, Reverend Warnock has not signed on to the reparations bill. Let me say that again. He has not signed on to the reparations bill in Congress. When we're watching other communities get theirs off the top, and we're watching Ukrainians get all of ours, we have to be very intentional about our needs if we are going to make it as a people. So my concern is reparations. My target, my goal is to work to repair what is happening with Black Americans. And I'll be very brief. I know that's the ready for your question. Thank you. My goal is to create the reparations administration. The same way we have the Social Security Administration, the same way we have the Veterans Administration, we need the Reparations Administration. We need a federal agency that will house our redress and do this work. This is generations of work that needs to happen. but we need the infrastructure to make it happen. So that is my goal. And that is why I'm running. I'm running for all of us. Reparations will make America great. And this is a conversation I look forward to having with white America, and particularly white Georgians, because there's a lot of good that will come to Georgia and that will come to America when you repair Black America. And I'll yield the mic.
Oh, hello, my name is Daryl Kelly. I am a renowned worldwide music artist. I play music all over the world, and I thank both of you candidates for being here. And one thing I write songs about is about systemic racism and police brutality in our country. When I received the card for Ms. Shealey, who's running for Senate, everything on that card that I read basically represents what I currently do today. So what I'm saying is, I heard everything tonight, but I haven't heard anything about police brutality that has really hurt the African American communities in America. And I think that we need to focus on that because that's a major problem. And if I'm fighting by myself, I need senators and politicians and everybody to stand up with me so we can defeat systemic racism and police brutality. And that's what I have to say.
I have a question for Senator Jackson. Senator Jackson, you were the chair of the Urban Affairs Committee. So how would you use your experience in the Senate, in the House? Would you tell us about your career in the General Assembly and how you will use that experience for what you're running for today?
Well, I was chair of the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus. The Georgia Legislative Black Caucus is the largest Black caucus in the United States, and we have addressed a number of issues. And I've also addressed those issues in my current role as chair of Urban Affairs. So let me tell you how we have addressed systemic racism, not only in the General Assembly, but also in the community as well. I'm the original author of hate crime legislation. I introduced hate crime legislation 6 years ago to bring attention to all the hate crime that was going on, not only in Georgia, but across this country. And also, as chair of Urban Affairs, we handle so many issues that address what's going on in the urban arena. And when we talk about urban affairs, we really talk about what's happening in Black neighborhoods. So one of the things we did was I addressed the bill in Buckhead. You know, the Buckhead bill was in my committee. I think I dealt with that professionally, but also I dealt with the Buckhead legislation correctly. You didn't see it pass correctly, but as we address urban affairs, we also must address what's important in Georgia and in urban communities, and that is healthcare disparities. That is the need for a better quality education in urban affairs, and most importantly, crime, addressing crime in our urban communities. So our urban affairs, we address hate crime, which is important, but we also address healthcare disparities, we address crime, and we address our educational needs. So, but I think Georgia is moving forward because we have an Urban Affairs Committee, because we bring in people to do testimonies, because we address these needs, and they are really the needs of African Americans, not only in the greater Atlanta area, but throughout Georgia, all these urban communities.
Hi, I'm Robbie Ray from WIGO AM 1570 AM and Red Carpet Radio ATL. And I have a question for you, Senator Jackson. How are you going to work across the aisle with the Republicans?
Well, ma'am, I'm going to use my 20 years experience working in the General Assembly. I spent 10 years in the Georgia House of Representatives, where I governed effectively. I've spent 14 years in the in the Georgia Senate addressing issues. 2 years ago, 40% of the Democratic bills that passed the Senate, I was a primary author. People talk about passing legislation and being being co-signers. I was a primary author of legislation every year that addressed the needs of African Americans. So I have a good working relationship with the other side. So much so that because of my leadership, because of my experience, I was appointed chairman of Urban Affairs. And let me tell you something. Under the Gold Dome, there are only 3 African American chairmen of major committees, and I'm one. So and Senator Don Zoe James, who represents parts of this area, is also the other. But we are changing Georgia in the concept of Georgia, and that's why we effectively was able to address misclassification of employees, hate crime legislation. Also, we were able to put a Martin Luther King statue on Capitol grounds, and that wasn't just a Democratic issue. You had to be able to work bipartisan to get the statue of Martin Luther King on Capitol grounds, and I did that while chair of the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus, working with Democrats and Republicans, talking about the need to have African American representation, so that African Americans can see people that look like us when they walk around the Capitol. When they look at monuments, they just don't see a person of one persuasion. And next, what we need is there's another figure on our state Capitol grounds, and that's a female figure. Because it's not all about black and white. It's about demonstrating all of us, and that's women too. We need women figures on our Capitol ground also.
Thank you so much. And this question is for you, Tamara Shealey. I would like to ask, how will you work with Mitch McConnell?
Oh. I think, what I believe is, like Senator Jackson just spoke, Republicans, you talk dollars and cents to Republicans, right? I try to stay out of my emotions about how I feel about certain issues and talk dollars and cents. If you make dollars and cents, they hear you in a different way because, that's kind of their focus. And when I talk about reparations to them, I have 3 talking points. First of all, I talk about how to stimulate the economy. Because if we get money, of course we're going to spend it. We're going to put it right back into this country. So it's going to go right back into the economy right here in America. My second talking point is about taxes. They tout taxes a lot, right? So how do we lower your tax burden? So we talk about that when it comes to reparations. My third talking point, and this is where I got this talking point from a young lady on Instagram who was offered $2 more on her job and refused to take the raise. And she refused to take the raise because she knew it would affect her housing voucher. So my third talking point is how we can get reparations and how it can work for America. Either we could reallocate or eliminate monies from social programs. So there's a way to pull people out of these systems that have them trapped that will help America in the long run. So I don't believe that. I think Senator Jackson has done a phenomenal job of reaching across the aisle, and I think I'll do a phenomenal job as well. Thank you.
So I'd like to ask both of you about what it is you're doing for the LGBTQ plus community, especially in this time of serious backlash, concerted backlash, not only in Georgia, but in state houses across the country and at the federal level. In the last couple of minutes of the session before sine die, the Republicans slipped through a bill that banned transgender girls from participating in school sports, and also somewhat at the college level, but less so. This was only aimed at trans girls. Nothing was said about trans boys whatsoever. Regardless, we don't know what the impact is going to be. We kind of know what the impact is going to be socially. We don't know what the impact is going to be economically, because in the bill, it says if any school or any coach decides to ignore that, the Georgia High School Association, I think, has this huge committee of appointed people who will be able to determine whether or not to take away all of the QBE funding for that school. So this affects every single student, not just trans students, and I wanted to get y'all's feedback on that.
Well, I have worked effectively about addressing issues as it affects LGBTQ. Let me take you back just a little bit. I served on the Senate Education Committee, and I successfully defeated that bill last year in 2021. I was able to garnish enough votes so that it would not pass the Senate Education Committee. This year it wasn't as successful, but let me tell you that this bill really hurts this entire state, and it really hurts this entire nation, because it will prevent a segment of our population to participate in sports, and it's just wrong. I have addressed issues of hate in Georgia for a dozen years. 6 years ago, as I said earlier, I introduced the hate crime legislation. And the hate crime legislation, the original version that I introduced, addressed the LGBTQ community also. Because hate is hate, whether it's race, whether it's asexual, but hate is hate, and people need to be punished for it. This legislation that was just passed is so hateful, but we didn't need it, because the local school districts have the ability to grant someone access to play sports or not. If you do know that we should be about local control and leaving that to the local school district to make a decision who should participate in sports and who should not. It should not be some big guard in the state. So I believe that this past legislation is bad for this country, it's bad for Georgia, but more importantly, it hurts young people. It discourages them from participating, and it just sends us a message that Georgia is not a state that accepts all of its people, and we're all citizens, and when you're a citizen of Georgia, you should be able to participate in not only in every sport, but in every, you not only be able to participate in every sport, but every organization that the school district have for students.
And I'm going to agree with you on that, Senator Jackson, that we have to protect our children, and we have to figure. There's still a lot of conversations, I believe, that need to continue to happen around this issue. But again, we have to protect our children in the process. So thank you for the question.
So, as a person with a rare blood disorder, how would you help people like me in worse economic situations with the prices of the stuff that we need to function? A dose of my medicine is over $1,000 per vial. So for people with worse economic situations and a lot worse insurance than me, that could be very detrimental to them. So I was wondering what you guys are going to do about that.
Well, I wish Georgia would extend Medicaid. I'm hopeful that they're going to get it right at some point here. And one thing America has to get right is healthcare and education. And I believe that we should have a healthy population, and we should do everything it takes to make sure that our people are well taken care of. So whatever we can do to have healthy Americans, whatever policy needs to be passed, again, I believe healthcare and education should be at the top of the agenda.
As your next labor commissioner, I will fight for Medicaid expansion. Medicaid expansion is so vitally important, not just because it's our money, but we will save rural hospitals. This money that we're turning down is going to other states. So if we're really concerned about our people and our vision for a better state, we need to accept Medicaid expansion. We can put another 600,000 people on the insurance rolls if we just accept Medicaid expansion. And I believe that we're going to do it real soon because we're changing. And Georgia understands that we need medical expansion. We're going to start electing a governor and a labor commissioner that understands not only the need but the vision of a great Georgia. Being a healthcare professional myself, I understand the need for Medicaid expansion and giving people more access to healthcare. And the only way that we can save rural hospitals, the only way that we can make sure that everybody gets access to healthcare is expand Medicaid. I believe that healthcare should not be just for the entitled. Healthcare should be a fundamental right for all Georgians. And expanding Medicaid and Medicaid expansion is one step forward to making healthcare right for every Georgia citizen.
Okay, taking a bold agenda to Washington. Okay, that's your statement. Tamara, what is your position on Georgia being the right to work? What will you do to change that? Yeah. We'll also make that for Senator Jackson. So.
Well, I'm gonna let him go first.
People use that term, Georgia is a right to work state, and when it sounds good, but it's the complete opposite. Georgia is a state for big business. That's what it is. Georgia is a state for big business. And you will see some brochures as Georgia is the best state to do business for the past 7 years. Yes, if you're the Walmarts of the world, yes, it is. But if you're a working class American or working class Georgian, Georgia is one of the worst states. Because let me tell you what big business do for folks. They hire you and hire half of their staff to work 32 hours a work week. Okay? And so, yeah, we're the best state to do business because we hire folks, but for 32 hours. So that they encourage you to apply for food stamps and apply for government assistance instead of doing the right thing and giving employees retirement plans, giving employees 401k, giving retirement employees access to their own health care. But they're encouraging you to use the government benefits, which is Medicaid, which affects all of us. So when I'm labor commissioner, I will work with big business and say, if you're coming into Georgia, you're going to have to hire our folks. And not just hire our folks, give our folks a livable wage. And not just throw pennies at us, because we're not that state anymore. We're a new Georgia. We're a state of passion, of purpose, and a state of a vision. So when I'm labor commissioner, before business will come in, they will guarantee that Georgia will be the best state for the employees to work in. That we're going to do livable wages, we're going to do benefits, and also we're going to encourage promotion within the job. So the right to work state, that idea needs to change. And when businesses come in, we need to encourage them to do the right thing to move Georgia forward.
So I'm gonna piggyback on him. I knew kind of where he was gonna go with this question, but here's why it's called why I have a bold agenda. When reparations happens, because it's going to happen. When it happens, I'm an entrepreneur, and I want to see us do what we did when we came out of slavery. That period of Reconstruction where we built our businesses, we built our Black Wall Streets. I want to see us be the innovators and the creators that we are. So I'm not going to Washington, and that's why I wanted to kind of piggyback off of him. I'm not going to Washington to get jobs for people. I'm going there to get reparations so that we can, again, compete in this global society
because it's bigger than Georgia. This is a global society that we live in now. And I want to see us be the entrepreneurs and innovators and creators and do something beyond just having a job. So thank you.
Okay, question for both of you. When people become unemployed, they get a separation notice, and then somewhere down the road, they get a letter that talks about COBRA. And COBRA is that insurance that is astronomical, where you actually have to pay like $1,000, $1,500, $100 a month on unemployment to continue having medical benefits. What is it possibly that either you can do, or how do you fix that? Where people who definitely need health coverage shouldn't pay 3 times more than someone that's actually working. What would you do to correct that, or is that correctable?
Kind of goes back to his question about, having those medicines that you need in order to live every day. Expanding Medicaid and making sure that we address, again, healthcare. Healthcare and education in this country needs to be top priority. We need to make sure we have healthy people and providing whatever resources they need to be healthy. So it kind of goes back to his question.
What we also need to address, and that's a very good answer, but what we also need to address is expanding the time frame a person that will continue to receive health care from their employer, okay? In certain states, once a person has lost their job for no fault of their own, they can continue to be on health care coverage up to 6 months. And that's what we need to be like more states up north. When you leave your job, if there's no fault of your own, we need to expand your access to that you can remain receiving your health care benefits up to 6 months, or until you find another job, or until you find another job or another carrier that will take you on. This is just another way the Labor Department can be about the business of helping the citizens of Georgia. Oftentimes that businesses fire employees and then cut their benefits off right away, and there's sometimes a lag of 3 to 6 months that person can find another job. We need to be about moving Georgia forward and having that worker or that employee maintain their benefits on that past job up to 6 months, so that we give that person ample time to find a new job that's paying not only a livable wage, but paying the health care benefits so they don't have to depend on COBRA.
Well, we want to thank you for everything you shared with us, and now we want to give you the opportunity to close and tell us how we can stay in touch with you. Tell us when are we supposed to vote for you, which is coming up, since everybody in this room can vote for those 2 individuals.
Well, I want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity this evening. I know it's late, so I appreciate all of you sticking around to hear from Senator Jackson and myself. But again, I'm Tamara Shealey, candidate for the United States Senate. Election day is May 24th. Early voting starts May 2nd. Please spread the word. We're taking a bold agenda to Washington. So thank you again for the time this evening.
I'm State Senator Lester Jackson. I'm running for Labor Commissioner. I must tell you, it's important that you vote. It's important that all of Clayton County, all of urban areas, all of Georgia votes this year, because they're very important. Georgia changed America because we put 2 U.S. senators in office. If you vote, we change America for a better vision. I'm running to continue to fight for a livable wage. I'm running to fight against the misclassification of employees. I'm running to fight for Medicaid expansion. I'm running to encourage apprenticeship programs in high schools. I'm running to promote vocational education in our prisons. When I'm Labor Commissioner, I will give you accessibility, I will give you job opportunities, and I will give you fast, speedy claims return. Lester for Labor, Lester.com. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for coming out this evening, and have a good night. You have this one.
has also been really good.
Sorry.